Landscapes are pretty new territory for me. I'd much rather draw people, or objects, or anything but a landscape, so this took a lot of trial and error, but eventually I got something that worked for me. First off, I did a lot of work where the paint was still wet, which allowed for a lot of blending, but also made detail work a lot harder because everything's smudged all the time. So there's a trade-off. If you feel stuck, maybe that's something you can try. I used leftover house paint and some acrylic when I wanted certain colors. I started by priming the wood with just some random white and sketching out the basic layout of what I wanted. I looked at a fuck ton of references of buildings and doodled on paper some before I started painting. First, I slapped on some colors mostly for fun, just some pink for the foreground, dark blue for the middle ground, and purple for the sky. After that, I worked on the sky more because it was in the far back, trying different combinations of purple and blue to find out what I liked. I covered most of the middle ground while doing this, but since I was going to paint the middle ground over it anyway, that's totally fine. Eventually, I did a very blocky gradient, and then I put a dark blue on top and scraped away with a palette knife so that the light blue would show through where I scraped away, to sort of try and give the appearance of clouds. Here it is again so you can see the finished result. I personally really like it. Then I put down some tape where I wanted to do the buildings so I could get really crisp lines, and I started working with different shades of pink. I added a super dark navy as well as some different shades of pink and some purple, and I just sort of messed around with it. I went back with a smaller brush, got it to a point I liked, and peeled up the tape while doing some correction work where I'd gone over or smudged it. Then I blocked off the screen and the billboard and worked on those as well as taping off the foreground while I was at it. I added more paint to the foreground and started detailing the buildings. This took me so long, and I was basically staring at references more than I was painting, because again, I'm not used to doing buildings. Eventually, though, I got some ideas that I liked and spent a lot of time adding everything that I wanted, like the posters and details in the alleyway and the mannequins in the window. You can vaguely see some products within the frontmost store, but it's mostly obscured by the glass. I'm pretty proud of that. I used watered down paint. After that, I peeled all the tape off, fixed any errors I saw, added the lamppost on the very top, and voila! It's definitely not perfect, but I learned a lot doing it, and I'm very proud of it. Hopefully, this helps anyone who watched it. Thanks for watching, and be kind today, alright?